Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Thank you all for joining us for the 22nd edition of the World Sustainable Development Summit, India's premier platform for deliberating the discourse around sustainability and climate change. As we proceed further, it is my privilege to host you all on behalf of the entire WSDS and TERI family. My name is Monmi Barwa, and I'll be introducing a fantastic line of speakers who all are experts and leaders in their respective fields for the Youth Plenary on collective action and intergenerational equity for our common future. This session aims to inspire the next generation of youth leaders to design innovative and cutting-edge sustainable development and climate solutions, disseminate experiences to instill multidisciplinary collective action and solution-oriented values, and also recognize youth contribution and motivate the citizenry of tomorrow. TERI and European Union have strong youth programs, and this plenary session reinforces the relevance of such forums as a platform for youth to engage in a constructive dialogue and a push for action leading towards sustainable development and to address the global challenge of climate change. For this session, it will be moderated by Dr. Livleen Kahlon, an Associate Director and Senior Fellow at Environment, Education and Awareness at TERI, and Mr. Edwin Koekkoek, First Counselor on Energy and Climate Action in the European Union, Delegation to India. Dr. Kahlon heads the Environment, Education and Awareness portfolio at TERI and has led several projects with interdisciplinary teams and applied innovative strategies to examine various cross-cutting environmental issues. Mr. Koekkoek is responsible for EU-India cooperation on energy and climate action, including the implementation of the 2016 Clean Energy and Climate Partnership. He is a strong champion of climate change issues and has a standing commitment towards youth. We welcome you. We also have our youth leaders who will be joining us as the speakers. We have with us Ms. Prachi Shevgaonkar. She's the founder at Cool the Globe, and Ms. Hita, who is the co-founder at Youth Negotiators Academy. We also have a speaker who would be joining online with us. She is Ms. Laura De Vries. She's the European Climate Pact Ambassador. We welcome all the speakers and the moderators as well, and we request to come at the stage and conduct the proceedings of this session. Over to you, Dr. Kahlon.
Hello. Hello. Thank you, Monmi. A very, very warm welcome to all the distinguished participants of this program, and especially our young friends who have made the day very special. I'm happy to be a part of this plenary session, Collective Action and Intergenerational Equity for our Climate Common Future at the World Sustainable Development Summit. This event, as we all have realized now, is a program of global stature and has successfully engaged with eminent leaders, distinguished speakers, dignitaries from across the world. I want all of us to pause here, because eventually we are handing over the planet to the young participants. But are they rightfully engaged in conversations and dialogues that are going to affect them the most? So it is important that roadmaps and solutions are co-created, working with the youth, working for the youth, and working through the youth. We will not use this session to speak about environmental hazards or project the excellent work being done to address various issues. We as adults will rather step back and listen to what the youth of today want to say to us. And we will stick also to the first name. So I am Livleen for you, Prachi, Hita, Edwin, Laura, all of you, a warm welcome to the program. And with this, I would like to take it forward by inviting my co-moderator, Edwin, to speak a little about his views about the session.
Okay, thank you so much. Am I audible? I think so. So I'm very honored to be part of this session on youth. We believe as European Union that the youth is an extremely important player in addressing the issue of climate change. We are very keen on investing in awareness among the youth. Youth is the main stakeholder. It's about their future. The youth is a driver of change. So we are focusing on increasing awareness, but actually the youth itself is a much stronger actor in increasing awareness. Awareness at home, awareness at their schools, awareness at the universities. And I'm from the Netherlands. I'm now at an age that my friends start hiring people and one day interview people and ask the persons whether they have a last question. Then often the question is, what are you doing for the planet? What are you doing as company for tackling climate change? And this is a very strong message towards my friends, and I think it's these kind of very proactive messaging of the youth that is of key importance of addressing the global issue of climate change. And I'm very keen on discussing how you can play your role in addressing the crisis of this decade.
Thank you, Edwin. So we are all almost on the same bandwidth. We're going to have a very interesting session. And with this, I would like to introduce our first speaker, Ms. Prachi Shevgaonkar, founder of Cool the Globe, which is an app for climate action being used by over 100+ countries. Prachi was awarded as the Youth Change Maker of the Year, and she is also the first Indian citizen to be appointed on the advisory board of the Climate Leadership Coalition. Wow. So a round of applause to you, Prachi. And we will circulate your detailed contacts with all our participants here. And the purpose of this entire program is to let the dialogue continue. And with this, I hand over to you to share your views about how you feel youth can be engaged in making a difference.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much for inviting me here. And since this is a panel about the youth, I want to first ask all of you, by a show of hands, how many people here are below 30? Oh good, we are the majority here, so this is our audience today. And I'm very happy to see that the youngest member is sitting here right on the front row. And a lot of young people are sitting on the front row also. I think the best way I can tell you about the role of youth is by telling you a bit about my own journey of building a youth-led movement for climate action and a couple of very interesting young people that I met along the way. Like many of you, when I was in my first semester of college, I first learned about the climate crisis and the role I was playing in it. And it bothered me. I remember going to my father and asking him, what do you think an ordinary girl like me can do about a big problem like climate change? So we decided to start small. We decided to start from our own home. We took up a quest to reduce our own greenhouse gas emissions by 10% every year. So I started researching on which actions of mine are leading to most emissions. What lifestyle changes can I make to reduce them? How do I measure all of this? And a few months into doing this, something interesting happened. My friends, my batchmates, other young people around me began to take notice. And they would come to me and say, it looks like you're doing something interesting and we would like to be a part of it. That's when I began thinking about how can I take this individual quest and bring global youth and citizens on it with me. And from this, we came up with an idea to build a youth-led app for climate action to help citizens like you and I reduce our own greenhouse gas emissions to a target. We called it Cool the Globe. So throughout my years of college, I worked on building this app. And by the time I graduated, it was ready. That's when I realized that now the real work starts. We have this platform, but how do we get people on it? And that's when I turned to the youth around me. I asked my friends for help, and together we started building video campaigns on what the common man can do about climate change. So my friends shared those campaigns with each other. The message was very simple, that let all of us start by reducing our own carbon footprint by 10% every year. And young people loved it because it was action oriented. They started sharing it with each other, implementing it in their own lives. I remember a 9-year-old girl had emailed me and said that, what change can I make in my own life to fight climate change? And she decided to start going to her school on a cycle. And by doing this for a couple of months, she recorded saving 60 kg greenhouse gas emissions on the app, which was 3 times her weight. Another young boy came to me and said that he had started an initiative in his classroom to upcycle their school uniforms. And by doing this, they had recorded saving 500 kg CO2 emissions. One action inspired 10 others, and young people from around the world became our ambassadors. Through youth-led grassroots movements like this, we have users from hundreds of countries on the app today. And as I speak to you, all of these young people, by making lifestyle changes in their own lives, have hit the target of avoiding 2.5 million kg greenhouse gas emissions on the platform. And this is just the beginning. A lot of young people from the Youth Climate Conclave are here today. Many of you from TERI School are here today, Ambedkar School, schools and colleges from around Delhi. And I've been interacting with all of you over the past couple of days. And I've been energized and inspired by you. You've made me realize once again that of all the stakeholders in this space, youth are the most important one. And that's because we have a yearning to make a difference. I remember when I was school, in the history books, I would read about the freedom fighters, the innovators, scientists, change makers, people who have changed the world. And I would think, I'm born in such boring times. I should have been born then. Today I realize that we find ourselves at the cusp of our youth in perhaps some of the most defining decades of human existence. Our actions today, the conversations we are having today, are going to impact not only our lives, but the lives of generations to come. And for young people, this is not just a responsibility, it's an opportunity to make an impact. I'd read somewhere that it's going to take a miracle to avoid the worst effects of climate change. But I believe when young people like the ones, all of us who are here today, when people like us come together to take action, miracles can happen. Thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you, Prachi. Yes, miracles do happen, and I really liked what you said, yearning. So who's a scientist? Scientist is a person who always asks questions. We should ask the right questions, we should live the right life, and we also inspire our peers. That was something very interesting, because after discovering or inventing something, if we try to hold it to ourselves, it will lose its life. So it's very important to stay connected. Thank you, Prachi. I'll come back to you again. And with this, I wish to introduce our next dynamic speaker, Ms. Hita Lakhani, who is the founder and director of Climact Initiative. Hita is again a firm believer of the power of youth and was introduced to the world of UNFCCC and climate change processes through COP21. Hita, I believe you participated there in 2015 and was the global focal point for Yango for the year 2021. You have also co-founded the Youth Negotiators Academy, again what I believe and strongly support, a peer-to-peer learning process of training youth to be effective negotiators in the UN intergovernmental processes. We will learn a lot from you by joining with the youth around you, and I really wish you more power. And over to you, Hita, please share a little bit about your experience.
Thank you so much, Livleen. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with all of you, and what an honor to be speaking on this stage. I am a student of TERI University, now known as the TERI School of Advanced Studies, and I used to be one of the volunteers at the back for the WSDS when I was studying. So to be sitting here speaking to an audience is a very different perspective, and it is a homecoming of sorts for me, so thank you for the opportunity. Well, my journey started a few years ago, a few years before, since I'm a couple of years older than Prachi, and when I graduated from TERI, actually I was working as a German language translator for a year, so I was doing nothing with relation to the environment. But this was the time when in the media there was a lot of buzz about COP21 that was going to take place in Paris. And I kept wondering, how do you go there? And I tried online to register, and I tried a whole bunch of things, and now I laugh at myself, looking at the stupidity of the process, but that's just how it was back then. And eventually someone gave me a badge for 1 week and said, okay, you can go to Paris. And I took a week off work, applied for leave, and that was, that was my ticket to sort of try and understand what was going on. I came back very disappointed because one, I had zero preparedness, zero training on what happens in such a space, no idea on how do you engage. There was the first time I'd ever been to an international UN conference. So when I went there, it was a lot of different people all running around looking very busy, knowing exactly what they're doing, and I felt like this little headless chicken trying to figure my way out. So when I came back, I said, okay, this is great, but I'm probably not going to go again, and I could not have been more wrong in my life. But the good thing it did was I came back a few months later, decided to quit my job, and I started volunteering in the field of climate. I started also volunteering with the POP movement with Dr. Pachauri, and then through the journey, basically went to the next COP, this time with a youth delegation. And this changed a few things for me. What really worked was that this time I didn't feel alone. I didn't feel like I was the only lost person. I had a community. I was introduced to the process. I was introduced to the youth group, which I had seen previously, but was far too intimidated to even go and ask what it was about. So the growth journey was tremendous just by the fact that I had a community around me, by the fact that I didn't feel like I was the only one who didn't know what was going on. And this sort of was a stepping stone. I stayed in touch, joined working groups, worked virtually past that, and sort of since then have been part of every negotiation session within the UN, so advocating for voices of young people, advocating for engagement of youth, and then of course in 2020 and 2021 leading the youth movement, a network of 10,000 young people from 170 countries, a position I would never have imagined back in 2015, seeing myself in the role, leading, championing youth engagement within the UN. But there were a few things that came out of that, which is what I want to emphasize on. One, of course, I did mention was the role of a community. But two, what I saw was really a very great lack of youth, young Indians in this space. I interacted with young people from across the world, but very few youth who actually came from India. And this got me thinking, saying, why is it so? And the answer was very clear to me. One, of course, the world of the UN is very, very difficult to decipher from outside. It is quite opaque, and it is very process-oriented, very technical, and very complicated. But two, it is because climate education, back in 2015-16, but even today, focuses on problems, doesn't really come across with solutions, doesn't bring examples of change of young people. So it doesn't inspire youth to really go ahead and take action. It doesn't really give them a hope of saying, okay, if someone my age could do something, maybe I can do something. That's what Prachi did by her examples, where she took action and someone could relate to her and bring those examples into their lives. So this is what I started working on, and this is how the Climate Initiative has been born, was really to try and bring climate education, to break down the world of the negotiations, to try and bring down intersectional climate education. So climate change is not just global warming. How do you talk about the environment? How do you talk about our lifestyles? How do you talk about waste? How do you talk about consumerism? How do you talk about climate justice in the narrative of education, and using education as a tool to take action to bring more and more people in the forefront of in the fight against the climate crisis. And the other thing that came out was the Youth Negotiators Academy, and this is focused on the UN negotiation process. This was really trying to understand, when you're going there, when you're advocating, it is an intergovernmental process, which means that it is only governments that can take decisions within the UN. So you could go there, you could advocate, you can lobby, but you cannot take those decisions if you're not part of an official government delegation. And when we had to champion engagement and voices of young people, when we had demands, when we had youth statements, I have gone door to door from country offices with a bunch of other young people trying to bring these demands into those negotiations. And we've seen firsthand how difficult it is to really ensure that out of the 10 points that you might have, maybe one will get picked up in the negotiation floor. So this is where we said, we need youth sitting at these tables. And that's the gap that we're trying to fill. We launched the program last year where we worked with 26 different countries from all 5 regions of the world. We trained 59 young people, 50 of those who were there at COP on behalf of their national delegations, were negotiating on behalf of their countries with their counterparts, sitting in the rooms, making these decisions for their future. We want to scale this up to 50 countries and at least 100 youth negotiators this year at COP28, so that we can really bring the process, change it from the belly of the beast to really get an approach where we're talking about real-time problems. We're not talking about problems, we're not talking about processes which are going to affect people or may not even be affecting the people in the rooms that are taking these decisions. So this is a sort of wave that we've seen, young people wanting to be the change, wanting to really take action, no matter whether it is at the grassroots or whether it is internationally at the UN. But what we've seen is really there is a process, that is a sort of systemic inequality that currently exists, which we're trying to sort of navigate and see how can we move that from within to get more youth where they should be.
Thank you, Hita. So the two perspectives that have come to us complete the pyramid. One is the grassroots down-up approach, and the other we see an academy in place where you're connecting with the right policy decision makers to see that the changes do happen. So thank you so much. I'll stop here for you two because I'm going to come back, and we have Ms. Laura de Vries, who has joined us. She is the European Climate Pact Ambassador, and it is so inspiring to have her with us in this Youth Climate Conclave movement and WSDS 2023. We speak and say that we are in, the world is a global village now, and here we see, you know, when we get the voices across the world, be connected, staying with each other, that is how actually the things do have a ripple effect. So Laura, thank you so much. You have been patiently waiting for your chance to speak. I hand over to you, and we'll get back to you with some very interesting questions. Over to you, Laura.
Thank you so much. And thank you for inviting me here. I'm really being welcomed well, and I think it's really important indeed to talk with each other from all over the world about these really important issues. Well, I want to start off with talking about my climate journey a bit. So a few years ago, I wanted to do something about the climate crisis because I felt it was really important to do so, as it affects young people on so many levels. So from the economy to healthcare, and I found it really important to contribute to that. But to be honest, I really didn't know how to contribute more than doing recycling and eating more for less dairy products, for example. So a climate ambassador program from the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Climate in the Netherlands came up, and I decided to apply because they said you could apply when you didn't know what to do with climate yet, but was really motivated to do so. So the program was led by the Dutch climate envoy Marcel Beukenboom, who learned us about how we can contribute to the climate crisis on our own matter. And that was a really breaking point for me, where I really started to know myself better and my role in the climate crisis better. So what I could do from my position as a young person. And I really learned that you have to follow the skills and passions already there. So for me, that was government and politics, but also inclusion and representation. It was something I was interested in and doing already. So I decided for myself I was going to represent young people in the climate debate, but also talking about an inclusive climate transition. And for another person, that can mean doing scientific research, or making innovations in the healthcare sector to make it more sustainable, for example. But it really was important for me to learn about how you can contribute, and that it doesn't always have to be scientific, because that was my point of view, that contributing to the climate crisis always had to be technical or scientific. And it really doesn't. We can contribute from all positions, from education to healthcare. We can all contribute. So that was what I wanted to say first. Furthermore, just as Edwin just said, youth are drivers of change. We can make such a huge impact because the climate crisis and environmental degradation have become some of the most pressing issues of our time. And there are issues that young people all over the world find really important to do something about because it affects our future. And it's really essential to recognize that young people have a crucial role to play in addressing these issues. So you cannot do that on a number of occasions and on different ways, but it's really important to know that first and foremost, young people have a unique perspective. So because we will live a long time after now, we also always look at the climate crisis from a long-term perspective. When, for example, people from government also really have to look at the short term. So we can really help them look further than only today, tomorrow, or 5 years further. Young people will inherit this problem and the planet. And we are really invested in solving this issue. So we are really creative in coming up with ideas, with solutions. And we really have the passion, the energy, but also the idealism to really come up with these solutions and make the time for it. Secondly, a lot of youth-led initiatives and organizations are really making a difference in the environmental movement. For example, we are giving ideas for policy changes on a local and national level, and we are really driving a tangible action towards a more sustainable future. I believe that working together across borders and across different cultures, young people can really make their voice also heard on a global scale. And that is what's really needed, of course, to really make a change, because we can't do it alone as countries. We really have to work together all over the world and combine our efforts, our knowledge, our ideas. And only on that way we can really, really get to the 1.5 degrees. And I know we can make it. So we have a unique perspective, the ability to influence our peers, our communities, the passion to lead initiatives and organizations, but also the ideas for policies that will ensure a livable future. And by harnessing the energy and passion of young people, we can really make a progress to a more sustainable future for all. So from the European Climate Pact, but also the Dutch Youth Climate Movement, I represent a lot of young people in the Netherlands, but all over Europe as well, and in the climate debate. And what I really see is that more and more people are listening, and I think that is really great. But what we are still noticing today is that young people do not always get the space to talk about their ideas from the start. So we get consulted in more later stages in a progress and in a process. And that's really nice that we get involved, but it's more important that we also get involved from the start. And that a really inclusive group of young people will be involved. So not only the usual suspects, but really a good representation of the society you live in. And that's something we can really work on together with each other, I think. I wanted to end with talking a bit about working together across the globe, because we also initiated the global partnership and are also currently busy with making sure we represent young people all over the world. And the We Are Tomorrow Global Partnership is a partnership that combines people from the global north and the global south in making sure the youth movements are connected, the ideas are being shared, and across borders we look at our problems and think about how we can strengthen each other. And I think that's a really great platform that we should enhance and make sure that we get it more known, but also make it broader in the sense of that more of these partnerships will evolve in the next coming years, because also for youth, but also for the grown-ups, it's really important to work together more and more and more than we are doing already today. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Very inspiring words. And you know, like what is again coming up, she joins you in what you both have said, It's about connecting the dots and about the world being one community. And that is precisely the message of Vasudev Kutumbakam, Mission Life, that the world is one family. We need to start connecting, speaking, and stop holding things to ourselves. So knowledge, action, progress, all needs to be shared with each other. So thank you, Laura. We'll get back to you. Please stay connected. And with this, Edwin, what do you think? How we should take this forward? I think a few questions from our sides should be there.
My first question would be to Prachi. I would like to ask you to react what Heta has said, that actually at the COP she didn't meet, and also in the international process, didn't meet so many Indian colleagues. And also what Laura has said, that skills and passion and also a network are extremely important. So how did you use your skills, your network, and it's clear that you have a lot of passion for the subject to attend the COP, and what is your advice to many of the young people here that are probably also very keen on becoming part of this international process?
Absolutely. Okay. So my experience was very much like Heta. You know, I used to follow COP20, COP21 rigorously in the news. And I used to look at it only as a high-level event for prime ministers, world leaders, scientists, and I could not have imagined that a girl like me could ever even dream of going there. But then I built Cool the Globe app, and you know, I read in the news that India had launched Mission Life, which was lifestyle change for environment, and this is what we were also doing. So then I decided that at any cost, I want to be a part of the next COP. And when I decided that I want to be there at COP27, there is one skill that I used, and there's one word for it which I recommend all of you use also, which was I became shameless. So over the few years of working in climate change, I had got to know a couple of people. I had some mentors, advisors. I messaged about 50 to 100 people, asking them, tell me how I can be a part of COP. I have no idea, really. And 10 of them sent me this opportunity that, you know, by UNICEF, UNDP India and the ministry. Many of them sent me different kinds of opportunities, by the way. I applied for about 5 to 10 different opportunities. And then a few weeks before COP, you know, I gave an interview for one of these. And I got to know that I would be participating in COP, not just an observer, but as a COP27 young scholar through the ministry, UNDP and UNICEF India. And I started preparing then to go there. So I think, you know, once you have been there, then you realize that, you know, then you don't understand why you thought of this as an unattainable goal. While not enough young people were there, there were quite a few, you know, and one thing that struck me the most was the solidarity between young people at COP. You know, before even going to COP, you know, just at the airport on a flight, I met young activists from Bangladesh, from Pakistan, many from India as well. I met so many friendships that I would cherish to this day. And on the last day of COP, all of us young activists came together. There were about 20 of us. And we decided that while COP27 is ending, our real work begins now. This opportunity that we have gotten, we have to ensure that many of you who are sitting here in the audience today also get it. We have to make sure that our voice comes across on an international platform and our innovations are given the opportunity that they deserve. So I'm sure that many of you who are sitting here today will be coming to the next COPs, and I'll meet you there.
Thank you, Prachi. Laura, you spoke about science as a tool. To prod you a little further, you know, like we are talking of action, we are talking of changes. What do you feel that, what is the core relevance of scientific understanding to counter societal challenges? I want to put this question to you. Are you there, Laura? Laura is there? Still connected?
Do you hear me?
Yes, 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 please.
Okay, great, thank you. Well, I think scientific research and the science community on a broader sense is a really crucial part of solving the climate crisis. And in my opinion, we do not look to science enough today when it comes to solving the climate crisis. So, for example, the great IPCC researchers come out every so many years, and it always shocks us, and it really hurts us what's in those IPCC researchers, because it's always bad news, but also saying how we can move forward. But when we look at the policies that many countries still follow, they are not in line with those IPCC researchers. So what I find really hard as a young person is that the science says one thing, but not all countries are always following the science. And that's why we as young people in the Netherlands introduced the Climate Advisory Council. And that is an idea that there will be a council where scientific researchers will be asked by politics and government to do certain researches to, for example, how we can move faster to the 1.5 degrees in the Netherlands, but also that they can, for example, do a research themselves about how we can move faster. And that idea, we proposed it to Dutch government, and they are currently making sure it's going to happen. So they are really now also already putting out the vacancies for that council. So that's one of the subjects where we as young people saw problems. So science not always being in the lead, and political decisions not always being completely influenced by the science, where that is really important when we want to solve the climate crisis. But then the politics and government really listened to our ideas and followed our idea to make a scientific council there in the Netherlands. And I think that's really great, and it really gives me a good feeling that they really are listening to young people, but also their scientific research will be more and more in the lead the coming years. So for me, scientific research is a really crucial part, as I already said, and I think we really should listen to science more.
Thank you, Laura. Edwin, would you?
Yes, I would have a question to Heta. Also, referring to what Laura said on as regards being involved earlier in the process, and also what Prachi said about the work when you have been somewhere, the work starts and you want to reach out to more people. So what, according to you, is important to reach out to those who take decisions, and also to reach out to those who are less, so to other young people who are less interested in this subject. So what are you trying to do with those two audiences, the youth that is less interested and the decision makers that need to involve you earlier?
Thank you for that question. I think first I think I'd like to answer the second bit of the question, which is how do you reach, or like what do you do to reach out to young people who are not as interested? And I think for me it's fairly simple. It's just trying to make them understand or make them see how climate change is not different from our lives, and how our lives are not independent of the climate crisis. We are part of the environment, which means that we consume, we eat, we sleep, we breathe, we consume natural resources every single day. So it really is part and parcel of everything that we're doing, and that's the only sort of eye-opening that we need to just connect the dots. So this is what we try to do, even when it is working with children or when it is working with young people, or whether it's just conversations. It's really trying to see how can we make them see the big picture, which is where the holistic, the intersectionality of the problem comes into view, to just understand that we're one speck in the larger business that we talk about as usual, but we're also one speck in sort of bringing the solution to this business as usual, or changing the business as usual, which I think sometimes gets very hard, because we feel like I'm just one person, I mean it doesn't matter what I do, I could go vegan tomorrow and it's still not going to change anything, or I could ride a bike and it's not going to make a difference. So this is the sort of just trying to understand the cross linkages. And to the second bit of your question, I think one is decision makers today, I think, are realizing that it is not just their future, or it is not just them that are going to be facing the sort of impacts of the decisions that we're taking. Yes, there is a lot of change that we need to see. There is a lot of sort of shifts in mindset, shifts in processes to enable more young people to be there, to be a part of the process, to bring their views to the forefront. But I think we are moving in a direction where people have realized the power of young people, whether it is striking on the streets, or whether it is with policy briefs, or whether it is in the rooms negotiating. We've seen that one of the most innovative ideas, or some of the most breakthrough suggestions, might quite likely be from a young person in the room. And it can also be in the international fora, especially within the UN climate change process. The technicalities, the process, the discussions sometimes get so lost in the details that we forget that we're actually talking about real lives at stake. And I think this is what youth can bring into perspective. When they go back, they don't only talk about this as a job, they don't talk about this only as something that they're going to go back and then think about, or see how they can come back the next day and look at the details, which they do, but they do realize that when we're talking about, or when we're negotiating a single word in a large paragraph, it is the impact of millions of lives is what counts in these rooms with the weight of the words that they have. So I think just sort of keeping that in mind, they can then lobby even better. They're then advocating much more stronger with their counterparts to really bring about change. And this is what we've seen, which is why we need to at least have doors open for youth to be part of these decision makings. The decision makers are not different from the young people. The young people are the decision makers together with their counterparts, and this is exactly what we need to enable even more to take place.
Thank you, Rita. A very simple and difficult question for you, Prachi. In one word, how will you describe success?
In one word? Yes. Okay. This is simple and difficult.
It is going to come to you also, Rita.
I think for me, success is when it gets amplified, when it spreads like a wildfire.
Wonderful. So amplification. Thank you. Rita, for you, rapid fire success. You are successful, like you are role models for all these young participants. How will you define success?
I think for me, success is a constant process. There is no level of, okay, this is what we've achieved. Success is something that we have to constantly strive to get. So yeah, success for me is change and constant movement.
Wonderful. So going on and learning from your failures. Laura, would you like to add in here, what is success for you? You are all very
success
successful.
is the little moments where of success we achieve in each step. So I believe success is a path where you walk on, and in each stage sometimes you see like a little present where you see the result of your success, but the path towards success, in my opinion, is already a success in itself.
Perfect. So a lot to learn here. Edwin, you know, these three people, especially both of you who are here in person to attend, also the Youth Climate Conclave. I think for you, success was also to be a part of YCC and WSDS simultaneously. And they are representing actually a cohort of around 150 students across the country who came forward for the YCC. So you amplify, you speak about a lot that the youth aspire for. So with this, Edwin, I would request you to speak a little bit about the conclave and take forward the program from there.
Yes, thank you. So I'm now more or less 5 years in India. It's actually my last year. And if you would ask me what has been the most inspiring, interesting thing that you've been doing, it has been the Youth Climate Conclave. And if you see the three people in this plenary session, you understand why, because the participants in this Youth Climate Conclave, indeed from all over India, they are highly talented, highly inspiring, they have a lot of energy, they have already a lot of skills, and a lot of knowledge, and they bring with them really interesting initiatives. So we now organized the 4th Youth Climate Conclave. The first one was in 2019, and at that time we had a meeting in person in Delhi, also with people from all over, young people all over, from all over India. Then we had 2 years of COVID, but we continued having the Youth Climate Conclaves in a virtual mode, and this year again, people, 150 people, I think more or less, from all over India came to Delhi to learn and discuss the science behind climate change, the impacts, the global impacts and the impacts in India, the negotiations, what are these negotiations? So they now know all the terminology that all the negotiators use. They discussed what India is doing. They discussed and learned about what the youth itself can do, and about the different youth initiatives, also in relation to the G20 and India's presidency of the G20. So they learned about the Youth 20. They learned about the what is it called? The Youth Negotiations Academy, about the Cool the Globe initiatives. I'm just repeating them because I'm so impressed by them, and the climate initiative. There were also several participants that were selected on the basis of a photo competition, and I would advise all of you, if you have access to the Italian Cultural Center, to have a look, because it's really an amazingly beautiful photo competition, photo exhibition, including the winners of the last year's and the 24 best photos of this year. And I would like to thank the Italian Cultural Center for hosting this exhibition free of charge. I would also like to thank UNICEF. They joined this group of organizers this year, and I must say in a very active mode. And I hope that next year, because I will not be there, that also others join, and that we manage to continue and organize a 5th Youth Climate Conclave. I also want to thank TERI, GIZ, JUA, and also the CEEW for the organization. The aim is to have an ever-increasing network of youth in India, and also linking them to regional and global initiatives to make this voice of the youth, and I think it has been very well explained by all of you why this is so important, to make this voice of youth heard in the discussions on the problems and the solutions on climate change. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Edwin. Pledge. We will now, we came up with a youth pledge which we will be presenting to you now, and for this I will invite our youth participants who were responsible for formulating the pledge to please come up on the stage. And now from talking we'll move into action, and we have a prize distribution also. Please stay with us for another 10 minutes.
We, the delegates of the Youth Climate Conclave 2023, envision an inclusive world that is built on principles of circular economy, ecological consciousness, and sustainable lifestyles, drawing inspiration from the Government of India's Lifestyle for Environment initiative, and in this regard, pledge our commitment to explore individual, collective, and viable solutions to address the climate crisis. We, the youth of today and future of tomorrow, pledge to contribute in creating and living in a world that is clean, safe, and healthy, facilitating as important stakeholders in the climate action process. We pledge to act for inclusion of holistic, accessible, and intersectional climate education for all. urging institutions to include interdisciplinary climate education in school and university curriculums, consisting of enhanced peer learning with practical training.
We, the youth of today and the future of tomorrow, pledge to make information regarding climate science and sustainability interactive, creative, and accessible to everyone, regardless of societal, systemic, or structural barriers. We pledge to support lifestyles that support principles of sustainability while recognizing and giving due credit to ancient and ancestral traditions that support low waste. We pledge to pursue and promote green jobs and sustainable careers for ourselves and our peers, and commit to work towards transition to sustainable practices in a just and fair manner.
We, the youth of today and future of tomorrow, call for international cooperation and collaboration to support climate action. We pledge to rethink and reduce our consumption and reuse and recycle all that we can, working around the principles of circular economy. We pledge to appreciate and spread awareness about biodiversity present in our own localities and use creative ways to promote the conservation of biodiversity through arts and culture.
While we, the youth of today and the future of tomorrow, pledge our commitment and intention to improve our environment by following sustainable lifestyles, we request support from all stakeholders in the form of acceptance, access to opportunities, mentorship, as well as financial support and guidance. We, the youth and future of tomorrow, pledge to spread the learnings at Youth Climate Conclave to a wider section of the society. We, the youth and future of tomorrow, pledge our intent to strengthen intergenerational dialogues, and through the platform of World Sustainable Development Summit, seek support from the global community to continue our journey of constructive inquiry, scientific understanding, and collaboration to make the world a better place to live in. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was Aryan Sapra from Shri Guru Tegh Bahadur Khalsa College, Delhi University, Lakshya Shikha Pawar from Dayal Singh College, Delhi University, Ayush Utsav from St. Mark's Senior Secondary School, and Mannat Kaur from DPS Arkipuram. Thank you so much. And this was actually, the entire pledge has been made by these 150 students who were with us for 3 days. And they've done, I'm sure you'll agree with us, a marvelous job. Well done. So with this, we conclude the talk part of the session, and over to you, Monmi, for the prize announcements.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Livleen. Thank you, Mr. Edwin. And thank you to all these speakers for such an interesting session, and I would say the need of the hour session. We'll now come to the Youth Climate Conclave Awards, for which I'm sure most of the youth are here waiting for it. And I would request the speakers and the moderators to kindly move forward, and we'll do the felicitation for them. First, I would like to announce the winners of from the Youth Climate Conclave Photography Competition. So we had in 2 categories, and from category A, which is from 10 to 18 years, the winner is Miss Lavnika Nanda from Tagore International School, Vasant Vihar, Delhi. Taken by them. This is the entry from Miss Lavnika. Thank you, Miss Lavnika. The 3rd prize goes to Mr. Anand Singh from Central Public Academy, Gorakhpur, which you can see the picture here. And the 2nd prize goes to Miss Nimisha Gururaj from National Academy for Learning, Bangalore. This is the picture. Unfortunately, they are not here because they have their prior commitment. They have their examination schedule. So we will, be sending them their, their felicitation. And so let's move on to the category B, and which is from 19 to 25 years of age. The second prize goes to Ms. Kamini Silora from Doon University, Dehradun. Can we have her on stage? Thank you, Ms. Kamini. And the winner is Ms. Thansiha from SNI TTI, Kottapuram, Kerala. Can we have her on stage? Can we have a big round of applause, everyone? Congratulations. And the third prize we also have a third prize which goes to Mr. Sharad Patil. He is from Kolhapur, but due to conflict with the exams, he could not participate today, and he will be sending out to him. And this is the picture that he has taken. Congratulations, everyone. As part of the conclave, we also had a debate competition which was organized for the same categories during our Youth Climate Conclave from 19 to 21st of February. And the participating youth proved to be very committed towards the cause of sustainable development. As you can see, the outcome document that they have read. So we had a debate competition, and the winner from category A, it goes to group 1. And so can we have from group 1 Ms. Mitali Shankar Nair from Army Public School, Dhaulakwad, New Delhi. Can we have a big round of applause? The other two who is in this group is Mr. Vishal Ramesh. He is from Budding Minds International School, Chennai, and Ms. Sanjam Singh from Delhi Public School, Arkipuram, Delhi. Congratulations. And the winner from category B is also goes to group 1. Can we have Mr. Roshan Thakur from Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University and Ms. Achal Gautam? We have Ms. Achal Gautam here from Himachal Pradesh University. Congratulations, Ms. Achal. We have 3 in the group, so one of them is also, she could not attend today. She is Ms. Komal Tiwari from Kalinga Institute of Industrial Technology. So congratulations, everyone. We can have a seat, and congratulations to all the winners. And moving on to the TERI's flagship initiative, we also have a Green Olympiad examination. We'll talk about a little bit about Green Olympiad because we do not have the winners here, but we have the list of winners. So this Green Olympiad, it was initiated in 1999. The program in 2022, it reached out to over 50,000 school and college students in the age bracket of 9 to 25 years in India and abroad. The aim is basically to test the environmental quotient of students and inspire them on related topics, including green skills. Over the years, the program is endorsed by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Government of India, the United Nations University Regional Center of Expertise, and the UNSDS in South Asia and the Youth Chapter, Kendra Vidyalaya Sangathan, State Council of Educational Research and Training, and the most recent one is the All India Council for Technical Education. We are thankful to all the sponsors and the supporters. And the students are awarded and which will be sent out later. But due to paucity of time, I'll be announcing just the name of the first rank holders, while all the names definitely, will be published on TERI, WSDS and Green Olympiad website. So we'll have just the names of the winners. Miss A. Dikshit Reddy from Tirupati, E.V. Viraja also from Tirupati. We have Divyanshi Panchvedi from Gwalior, Srivang Mai Thuraga from Chengalpat, Sai Roshan Gattidi from Hyderabad. We have Kanak from Delhi Public School Dhaligaon, Vidhi Chandak Center Point School Nagpur, Pranal Kumar Poddar from Balasore, Richit Kwara from Indian International School Noida, Divisha Gupta from Amity International School New Delhi, Avi Artha from again DPS Patna, Saptarsh Sil, he is from Haldia, Shraddha Bahedi from Ahmedabad, Ashit Sharma from DAV Public School Shimla, Riyansh Goel from Noida, Arya Rajiv from Kannur, Shrishti Arun Kumar from Kendra Vidyalaya, Kerala. Then we have Shreyan Mandal from Farakka, Arnav Nigam from Mumbai, Fida SNC from Indian Education School, Kuwait. Then we also have Shaurya Shekhar from DPS Patna and SV Anitha Devi from Sivakasi. So congratulations to everyone. As mentioned, we'll put that on the TERI website and the Green Olympiad website. And once again, it has been a very splendid session with such great, dignitaries. And so thank you all the speakers, and all the thank you to the moderators as well for such an interesting session. And I would request everyone for a group photo. Maybe the students who have read the pledge can come forward. And Miss Laura, I hope you're online, still online. Yes, Miss Laura is also there. She'll be joining online, and we can quickly take a group photograph. In the next one, we can also have a winner with the winners also in this stage. You can join here. Yeah. Can we have a big round of applause? Congratulations, everyone. Thank you. On behalf of WSDS and TERI family, I thank you all for joining today. We now break for lunch, and the lunch is at Margosa Lawn. And the next session, we will begin at 2:30. It's a session on the COP28 Compass